Why, hello everyone. Welcome to Marketing Monday with the Watertown Oswego SBDC, where every Monday we talk about marketing. Hence the name. Hey Liz, how's it going?
Oh, now don't tell me that your brain is melting just a little bit,
I
Nicole.
don't know. It's helping that it's a little cooler today than it has been lately,
I
but
know.
yeah.
I got in my car this morning, and full confession, I live rural, so of course I don't have a garage. I have a barn, and it's full of not cars,
Right.
tractors and stuff. And it was 78 degrees at 7:35 when I pulled out of my driveway. And I park under a canopy of trees, and if you ever saw my car, you'd know that to be true because it's usually kind of
Yep.
cruddy. But yeah, it's been quite the ride, and that leads me into a segue and a little promo for a series that we're doing this fall with Mike Kinney, who's one of our advisors. You've met him a few times now on Marketing
Yep.
Monday, and we're doing a sustainability series. Now, I'd be stretching the truth if I said it was all fully planned out. It's mostly planned out, but in fact, they're filming today. We have a partner in this, a longtime SBDC client called named Jim Jusak, who owns a completely off the grid farm in Adams, which is in southern Jefferson County. And Jim is co-hosting with Mike, and we are going to do a whole bunch of sustainability stuff. And not, I mean, everybody knows, well, you can buy an electric car. Yeah, we all know that. This is not those kinds of things. This is practical, hands-on things you can do to reduce your waste stream, which will then reduce your waste expenses, to introduce you to some businesses that have really nifty products. And, we're not saying, oh, everyone needs to run out and rip the roof off your house and replace one with solar shingles, because that's not actually an eco-friendly thing to do. But if you are thinking about replacing the roof on your business or your shop or whatever, then we'll have some ideas for you. So, and the coolest part is we're partnering with WPBS, which is the public television station here in Watertown, which has range up into Canada, down into central New York, and out towards Oswego. And they're going to be kind of making news items over about what we're doing. Sorry, that was very inarticulate. They're going to be, it's like a documentary within a documentary. So they're going to be following us on on when we film, and they're meeting us there today. In fact, that's why Mike's not on today with the students, because we were going to keep going with the students, but they'll be back, not to worry. So that's happening, and we're going to be airing that later this fall. We're getting all the footage. We have a new camcorder that we're christening today, and all kinds of cool stuff, and some editing equipment. So we're very excited about that, because it's going to be practical, hands-on tips and industry information for small businesses in the North Country, with an emphasis on service, tourism, and ag businesses, which of course is the backbone of our economy here in Northern New York, as you know, Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing that. Um,
Awesome.
yeah,
And
and
you've
then
got
don't
other
forget,
stuff going on
we
too, right?
we always have.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I think they're just plates in the air. Sometimes they feel like flaming hoops of fire. So it just depends on the day. But today we're just calling them plates. We have a series on cybersecurity. The past 2 weeks, Erica and I co-hosted, and we had Mike Davis, who is a cybersecurity consultant from Syracuse, on doing little mini sessions. You can find those on our Facebook page. We did 4 of them. We had a little Q&A last Thursday. Erica and Mike did, and starting on September 5th, we have contracted with a company called Govology to offer a much deeper look at that. So you can get on our email. We can send you the registration link. And if you have a tech business, if you have a business that you deal with a lot of clients' personal information, name, address, social, dates of birth, uh, facts and figures, then you're going to want to watch this and be part of this. You do have to register, and it's a lot. I mean, this is not light and fluffy tips. This is a real take on the latest thinking in cybersecurity, and it's put on by a company called Govology. They're a service disabled veteran owned company, they're really cool, and we're really excited to be partnering with them. So
Awesome.
that's happening September 5th through October 7th.
Yeah. And
And
the the food venture program. Do you want to talk
Food
about that now?
venture program.
Okay.
We have that. Remember, we have the the boot camp going on right now, and we have this is going to be a great week. We have a pitch competition. We're going to watch their videos. Oh yeah, it's really cool. We have everything from someone who wants to make vegan nutritional supplement shakes, to food trucks, to regular restaurants, to bakers of custom cakes. So we have a bunch of different people in this program from all over the state, and we're going to be offering another one and I don't have the dates nailed down yet, but it's going to be after Indigenous Peoples Columbus Day, so that some of our tourist-laden businesses who would really like to attend will have a little bit more time. Since we all know what happens after that holiday weekend, Canadian Thanksgiving, though, it's like a threefer that weekend. So we'll be offering that. And I think, although it's not etched in stone, if anybody wants to call me and discuss, feel free. 315-755-0386. Culinary tourism. Because one of the things that I feel like our area, like we would really like to help bolster, is grown here, created here, served here. So we have some cool specialty farms. We have, I don't know about you, but I had company this weekend and we had nothing but fresh produce and salad. Well, it was all cold too, because, it was no central air in my house, I have to confess. So lots of fans, lots of sweating, and lots of cold food. So we're going to try and ignite that spark, hopefully with some growers and some producers and some marketers, to really kind of make that happen, because we have so much great produce and products from our region. We'd like to see them on restaurant and food truck and catering plates. So that's going to be in the fall. And again, if you sign up for our newsletter, you will always know what's happening at the good old Watertown Oswego SBDC. Awesome. Or you can call us or email us. It's a friendly experience. We don't mind it. We want to talk to small businesses and consumers. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So get on the SBDC's email list and you'll hear about, as dates are finalized and as the filming goes on air, or I don't know, what should we say when it goes on the internet? I guess it still would go on air, but
yeah, I think it's on air.
Yeah,
we like to call it on air because it makes us feel like actual celebrities. So
Nice. Well, and today's topic that we're going to talk about a little bit more today here is the sort of this idea of marketing ideas that are cost effective. And we were talking before we started the broadcast, and we're like, oh, we're almost in quarter four when you think about it, which October 1st is the last quarter of the year. And you might be looking at your financials and saying like, oh, I'm ahead of last year, I'm behind on last year, and you're thinking maybe of ways like, how can I get some new customers in the pipeline? How can I re-engage the customers? And maybe you don't have a ton of money right now, or maybe you just want to look for more creative ways to market. And so we thought we'd pull together some ideas today. So Liz, I took our ideas and I kind of divided them up into 3 categories. And the main one is like, I'm calling the visibility category. So this is like just the general getting the word out kind of stuff. So we have 31 total. We're going to see if we can get through all of them. I think we can. And the first one being that, fill out your online business listings and make sure that you keep them up to date. I know for me, obviously your hours might change seasonally or something. I just have a little reminder in my calendar, quarterly, to log into Google and just make sure everything is correct. Are my hours still right? Do I have new photos I want to add? That kind of thing. So you could just do the same thing here. And there's lots of other kind of general business directories out there. Yahoo has one. Right. Yelp has one. Yelp. Yeah, I'm trying to think. TripAdvisor, if you're
TripAdvisor,
kind of business. Yep. That's only for tourism base. So I think they have food and lodging mainly. And sometimes
some attractions.
Sometimes if you're like, I have an air tour or something to let you get on, but they wouldn't let my co-working space on, which I thought was odd. But maybe I should double check that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, it's these things are evolving all the time. So just because you filled out Google My Business 2 years ago doesn't mean that they've added new categories. There's new ways to. So it's worth the investment. And if you don't understand it, or if you aren't sure what to do, give our center a call, and we have advisors who can help you. And we have video. The New York SBDC this summer and fall is doing a whole Google My Business series. We're actually partnering with Google to offer these trainings. So
Nice.
yeah, there's lots of resources available to help. Because if people can't find you,
Well,
that's like the most basic thing.
It's funny. I have somebody I'm going to be talking to who's a fellow marketer in a couple of weeks. And he was talking about no-click SEO. And I was like, I've never heard that term before. I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, it's being optimized in like things like Google My Business, where, you know, people don't have to click through onto your website, that they, you know, that you're visible. And I just thought that was really interesting, that, you know, that there's this whole kind of line of marketing now where, you know, yeah, you're just visible. You're visible on the map, or you're visible, you know, what's near you. You just kind of pop up without anyone having to click over to your website. You're visible. So
that's amazing.
And they're all like, and here's the thing, yes, when you make this listing, you will start getting calls. They will try to sell you ads. They will try to enhance your listing. You don't need it. Just take the free one. It's fine. Don't let them sell you anything.
Right. You don't, right. And then block them on your cell phone, and you don't have to get any more calls. So don't give them your landline number. No. Save that for your actual customers.
That sounds good. And you might still get calls anyway. I'm just saying, if someone's yelling at you that your Google business listing is out of date, don't worry, they call and yell at me too. And I actually update mine. So
they call and yell at us too. So
yeah, there you go. So we're all getting yelled at by random spam marketers. So but take that free listing, because it's a free link to your website, and it's a place your customers are getting information. Number 2 I have is adding yourself to any free online business directory that makes sense, or any kind of directory. Is there, you know, I heard North Country Public Radio is putting together a list of all the places that you can get ice cream locally.
Ice cream.
Right? The ice cream map. They're making an ice cream map. So I don't know, if you sell ice cream, adding yourself to that map seems like a no-brainer. But there might be something specific to your industry. Like there might be something specific for contractors, or for food trucks, or something like that, a specific directory, or a map, or something like that. And if it's free to add yourself, why not?
Right. And you know, and I also read about that North Country Public Radio. In fact, I bookmarked it so that when I'm traveling through the North Country, I'll know where to go. But you know, when you're thinking about that, you don't have to have a full service scoop shop with what did Baskin Robbins, 47 flavors. Even if you have a case of Hershey novelties that are by your cash register, get on there, because you might have other stuff. It'll draw people to your business. It'll draw interest. And then also think about the other guides. What do your chambers do? Thousand Islands Tourism Council. Get your Oswego County Tourism, Lewis County Tourism. Go on their websites, Google, and find out what those listings are. I love New York, Adirondacks. There's lots of ways to get noticed. And believe me, I live in a tourist area. You see those little free newspapers or magazine. I guess magazine is a stretch, but you know what I mean. The tourism guides. You can always tell in the restaurants, if I'm eating, and out of towners, often they will pick one up and flip through it. So, you know, don't think that there isn't power in those kinds of things, because there really truly is. And you don't have to have the full service. If they're looking for retail stores, even if you only offer a few things, that even if you're only a store at the campground, that's okay. Put your listing in there.
And I just added the word in print, because you're right. There is a lot of print stuff, especially if you're in an area where cell phone reception's a little bit spotty, or, you know, or like sometimes you just want to sit and have your coffee and just look at a piece of paper. And I totally get that. So just take advantage of whatever opportunities there are, because chances are someone might be looking for another business and see yours as part of a list or something like that. So, and let's face it, just because someone in the car wants ice cream doesn't mean everyone wants ice cream. So even if you just have one little case of ice cream, the other people in the car might opt to get
beer.
Or pizza or whatever, you know,
or
whatever
pretzels,
else you're selling.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, the third thing, and basically all these, articles about are, say post to social media. And I think that's great. And, I will say as kind of an additional sort of bonus tips, and sometimes people list this separately, is using hashtags with your social media. So for example, you might look up in your geographic area and see that Watertown NY is a popular hashtag. And so if I want to see what's going on in Watertown, I'm just going to search Watertown NY rather than going to a specific business and just see generally what people are posting. So, that's a way for your social media to be more visible and people who are looking for a specific thing or in a specific geographic area. And, if you're posting about another business or your own business, from like a personal account, just make sure to tag the business too, because I always assume that most small businesses are not on social media. So whenever I see like, oh, we're on Instagram, I'm always like, oh, okay, this farm is on Instagram. Okay. And unless they make sure, like my friend might mention, oh, we're at this farm, but like taking the time to tag the business, I think is really cool. Or I think at the beginning we were talking before we started recording about businesses that work with other businesses. So you're a retail store and you sell something, that's made somewhere else. If they have a Facebook page, tag them. It'll help make them more visible and you more visible to their audience as well.
Absolutely. And so Nicole, that whole tagging thing, now does that work on all social media?
Yeah, typically, if a business has an account, you type the @ sign and then you start typing in the name of the business, and typically it's going to pop up. Now, it's hard if you have a Bella salon. There is conservatively like several thousand Bella salons in the world.
Yes.
So you might want to like do a quick search and see, oh, it's Bella Salon CNY. Okay, got it. So that you can, so sometimes it won't come up if it's a pretty common name, but in general it will as you start typing it. So usually you type the @ sign, and then in the caption or in the comment when you do tag a business, the text will almost turn like a different color. It'll look like it's highlighted.
It turns blue. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you've actually tagged it. So obviously if you post it and you didn't quite get the tag right, you can obviously just delete it and try again.
But it is important to know the actual name of the business or the business owner if that's who you want to tag. But if you want to tag like, Watertown, New York, just hashtag Watertown, New York. That's all you need to do. If you want to say like where you're located or, just had a great piece of pizza at XYZ in Watertown, New York. So it's good to tag the locations and you don't have to be 16 to do this stuff, right? Adults can do this too. And one of our partners, Amanda Stickle, who is an extraordinary bookkeeper and a great friend of the SBDC, she had a great posting on social media about, I think it was 10 ways you can help a small business for free, and tagging them. If you like the product, if you like the business, if you like the owner, if you think their hours are convenient, if you think their logo's pretty, whatever it is, tag them. And it's a great way to show support for businesses in your geographic area and in our state, and also for the products and the services that they offer.
Yeah, and I was just looking up to see, and it looks like people are tagging Watertown, Watertown. Oh, it's Massachusetts, but they are tagging Watertown NY to
Watertown NY.
Yeah. So I just looked up. There are websites you can search hashtags, and it will tell you. So, for example, I was like, "Oh, I wonder Watertown," and then I forgot that there is a kind of a whatever do we call it, a suburb of Boston. There's an area of Boston called Watertown, and so how they've distinguished is they say Watertown NY, right? Just like there's a Potsdam in Germany. So if you Potsdam NY, so there are certain, or NNY, it looks like a lot of people are using as well.
Yeah, so, NNY. Yep.
So, you can just look at what people are using and use those. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and then the next, I guess, tip is to make an email marketing or a text marketing campaign. And so something I will say is all these services, whether they're text services or email services, are relatively affordable. They often have a free option if your list is relatively small. And even if your list gets above, so I think MailChimp, it's 1,500 or maybe 1,000. And if your list goes above their threshold, it's like, $10 a month or something like that. Right. So just wanted to, it's not prohibitively expensive to have these things. And with text messages, it's typically around a penny per text message. So I looked into this there was a church that wanted a way to like reach out to their congregants, because most of them, just, services canceled because there's snow or whatever.
Right.
And we figured out that, okay, to text message, a couple hundred people, like that would be just, that would be like 20-ish bucks, or $15, which worthwhile to not have people on the road.
Right. Exactly. And making people feel informed and up to the minute about what's going on. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you're having, a lunch special or something and you text it out, and maybe, a penny per text, you send out a few hundred, and you know what, at least, like 10 people come in for that lunch, it's more than paid for itself. So
exactly.
Figuring out some kind of system. And like I said, some businesses work better with email, some businesses work better with text, and right. Obviously you can ask your customers, or you can just kind of see what other people in your industry are doing. And it's not prohibitively expensive, but communicating with your customers on a regular basis reminds them that you exist.
Exactly.
And maybe educates them on your new product or your new service or your new location or whatever it is.
Or whatever it is. And think about the immediacy. If you're saying we're changing our hours, and you're a gift shop, you may not have to text that out. But if it's the special of the day, or we're now serving, fresh caught perch from Lake Ontario, you may want to think about texting something like that has an immediacy to it. Today's special, tomorrow's sale, anything like that. So really think about who you're trying to target and when you want their business. If you want them to come in and get that perch sandwich special today, that's a text. If you want to say, we now have perch on the menu permanently, maybe that can be an email. So
yeah, nope, that makes total sense. So thinking of some kind of mechanism that you want to communicate with your customers. It is not as expensive as you think it would be,
right.
For the actual use of the service.
And it doesn't have to go to everybody who's ever set foot in your store, right? That doesn't have to go to everybody.
Yeah, we can let people opt into that sort of thing.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like a lunch club, or, the frequent buyers club, or anything like that.
Absolutely. All right. So my fifth thing is to make posters physical and digital. And I will say, I think there's like a lost art. Whenever I see like a cool poster, I'm standing at the coffee shop or I'm at the library, and I look up and I see like a cool poster, I'm like, oh, like it's kind of nice that people still do that.
It's so quaint.
I know, but it makes me kind of remember it. And sometimes I like, we'll take a picture of it to remember.
Right.
But having something kind of visually eye-catching, obviously we have these tools available to us like Canva that are relatively, free, and or even the paid version of Canva is not prohibitively expensive. But you can make these really nice looking posters and something eye-catching, even if it's something that's going on within your company. Maybe your staff and your, people are on the list, but putting it up in the, in the break room and in the bathroom and stuff like that, so that people on the public message board can see what's going on. Exactly. I think is nice, and definitely, trains people to look out for your information that way.
Well, and say you own a sandwich shop and one of your sandwiches is the best seller. So take a cool photograph, colorize it, make it look funky, and have it printed, print it out, put it on the wall, and say our number one best-selling sandwich is the Nicole. And have fun with it, and think about how you can use. Because if you make a really great looking sandwich, that can make, I guess it is 12:24 and I haven't had lunch yet. Maybe I have food on the brain, but maybe I always do. But really think about, when I drive past a Dunkin' Donuts sign. No, not a sign. What are those highway signs called? Billboard, right? Yeah. Billboard. I'm from Vermont. We don't have billboards. Not my fault.
I'm from Maine. We don't have billboards either. I'm still fascinated by the New York State billboards.
I am too. And I'm mostly fascinated by the ones that I'm driving or even riding and I can't read them. And I really want to call those businesses up and say, hello, you've wasted your money, because I don't know what you're trying. I can't read your website in an instant. I can't get the message in 5 seconds of driving by. But I'll rant about that another day. But this rant is about there's a Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee ad, but it doesn't show the iced coffee. To me, the part about it is the beads of sweat running down, all the big clunky ice cubes, the pretty straw. So think about what you do at your place of business. The perfectly groomed dog, the perfectly mown lawn, the cool pattern of the snow that you push back when you plow. You may think to yourself, well, I see a perfectly groomed dog all the time. Lady, I'm a dog groomer. Right, but I'm not. And the other people who come into your retail store may not. Think about it. And also, they make darn cheap and fun decorations. And it's reinforcing your message. Maybe there's a service that you make a lot of money on, frankly. It's a good profit for you. Think about promoting that one. Don't promote your lost leaders that way, or think about an up and coming service. There's a local massage place that just added, I'm going to say this wrong, Reiki? Reiki. See, I knew I got two wrong. And not only did they first they started saying so and so is now a Reiki master. Okay, that's great. And then, and this is based on a suggestion, they started talking about what does it do? Because people are like, it's wooey, wowie, hippie, weird. What does it do? What does this? And they did a great job. You don't disrobe. No, you don't have to do this. So you may know exactly the process of grooming your dog, but your clients don't. You may know the process of a Reiki reading, but your clients don't. So think about using those things.
Yeah, and if honestly the process of designing something intimidates you or doesn't interest you, form a relationship with your local print shop. They offer design services as part of their printing.
Yes, they do.
If they know your market, and they can sometimes show you a sample of what it's going to look like before you commit to it. And if you're regularly going in and getting some new posters printed, they might have some great ideas for you. So
exactly. Yeah. And there's things you can do. Sure, you can get on Amazon and buy an open flag, the red, white, and blue one that everybody has. Or you can think about using your local resources to do some poster making. And don't forget those. I talk with my hands. It's really terrible. These things you learn when you're on Facebook Live for a couple of years. The political signs that go on the sidewalk, you can get those that say anything. You can get those that say open till 9 p.m. or fresh flowers or whatever. So think about creative ways that you can get the word out. And it's, and to Nicole's point, physical and digital. And a lot of times you can have one design that works for both. You don't have to recreate the wheel. In fact, it's probably better typically if you don't. So
yeah, they'll see it multiple places and act on it. This is something I haven't personally really done much of, but a lot of I know sometimes local publications or regional publications have sort of the best pizza, the best the best place to get your car repaired, whatever, awards. And there are ways that you can sort of self-nominate or just see when they're happening so that you can be a part of the action. And I think that that's a great way to kind of get the word out, because not only do they announce the winners at the end of the period of time where they're voting and stuff, but it's also something that you can tell your customers about. Hey, help us be more visible, vote for us.
Right.
Send in a nomination, that kind of thing.
Right. It's another way to increase that connection with your customer. And you may get in the paper or get on a website because you were one of the nominees. You don't necessarily have to win. And you can always call your SBDC, call the local tourism council, call if you have a women's business center or a SCORE chapter. We will know about contests like that. And if you are an SBDC client and you'd like to be profiled, because, okay, I'll just be honest. We report into the national SBDC and the New York SBDC all the time. How many clients, how much money? We don't report it. I don't mean, please understand, I don't mean we report on individuals. It's mostly aggregate numbers, but we also have success stories that we have to share with our funders. So if you think you have a cool angle for a success story and you're an SBDC client, call your office, your local office. They will be thrilled because it happens to be right now I'm writing a report and I have to dredge my mind to come up with some success stories. But if I have someone who's saying, yes, I'd like to be featured, and then we'll write a press release. We will take some pictures. It's something you can share. If you think that something momentous has happened, you have a success story of any kind, you should definitely let your partners know that. There you go. Thanks, Nicole.
No problem. We're going to keep this on the screen for a second. So, yep, there's nothing wrong with giving some ideas, while Liz is working on a report, help her out. So the idea of all of these sort of things is that they're mutually beneficial to the people who are offering them and to the people who obviously get the award or whatever. And actually leading into sort of this idea of letting people, applying for local awards is kind of letting the press know what's going on. I can't tell you, we submit press releases on a really regular basis for our co-working space, and the amount of times that they run is surprising. And I think it's because we always, try to write it, really well, and we submit a photo with it. And that way, if it can't run as a full press release, it can run as what's called a cut line, which is where it's the picture and the caption. I used to work in newspapers, so
You're official.
And well, I just know from working at newspapers that they get pitched, but sometimes people don't make their jobs easy and they work a lot. So if you write something that's pretty well written and is accurate and has a photo with it, the odds are good you're getting in somewhere.
and a seasonal tie-in is nice. And like last month in July, which I can't believe is already over, there were a bunch of businesses in my area of the county did a Christmas in July thing, and they all got together. There's like 7 very small businesses on the main drag, and it was great because they were tagging each other. They were doing cross promotions. Santa was there like 3 separate times. Like, he's at this business this day and this business that day. So, and several of those made it to the paper because the businesses took a picture of Santa in his tropical shirt and,
that's
novelty
fun
stuff.
Well, very cool. Yeah. So just let people know what's going on. You have a new product, you have a new hire, you're you're doing something, you're hosting an event, doing something interesting.
Right.
We're always looking for local stuff that's going on. So letting as many people know as possible is great. Now, I did look at some of these blogs about sort of low-cost business promotional things. There was a lot of guerrilla marketing stuff about doing stuff like graffiti or whatever. I guess I would say doing something creative that maybe follows the rules, and doesn't damage property.
Right.
The one I saw was like a sort of sidewalk chalk, but if but there might be a portion of town or something that could use some public art that you could be beautifying or making something that was sort of cool and artistic. I definitely saw some examples, but I was like, ooh, I don't know about graffiti.
Yeah.
but I appreciate it. Yeah. Or putting stickers on signs. I was like, no, but I like the idea of something like a sidewalk chalk. Or if you don't want to commit to a whole sidewalk, you can get one of those sandwich board signs.
Sandwich board.
Again,
right.
Make sure those are over $25 these days. But I suppose if you wanted to, you might be able to make your own with some a couple of small chalkboards and some 2x4s or something.
Yep.
But
or go to a thrift shop and look for one of those. Remember the little Tykes easels? I've seen those used.
Oh yeah.
And
those are adorable. They can handle a 3-year-old. They can handle your business message.
Exactly. And you can always put something on the feet to keep it if it's a super windy day or whatever. But yeah, we don't. Graffiti is bad. Proper signage is good. And like right now in Watertown, downtown Watertown, there is a program where they're doing murals and wall art. So if you have an artistic bent, if your employee has an artistic bent, or if you have some cash you want to throw at a local business organization, find out who that is in your area that controls that and let them know. And get involved in a non-stealthy way. How about that?
Yeah. I just wanted to mention the guerrilla marketing techniques of those, but also make sure that we're, following the rules. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. Now, in terms of stuff to give away, I get that you can get business cards printed, obviously under $25. relatively inexpensively. But if you're looking for something to give away, stickers are really fun. And I'll give an example. So in the state of Maine, we have a store called Martin's, which is, and the saying is, I should have bought it when I saw it at Martin's. So the last time I was there checking out, they handed me this sticker. And it's been sitting on my desk, and I'm looking for someplace cool to put it. But people really love that kind of thing, especially if you have a cool logo or a little saying or something like that. They could put it on their laptop. They could put it on a notebook. They could put it on their locker, depending. Again, different ages, right? But the sticker is kind of fun, and they are relatively inexpensive to print. Yes. So, as an art object that you can easily give away. So
right. And if you think they're going to go places, you can always have a silly little contest, like, with a hashtag. So where did you see this, or how far did the sticker go? That's obviously a much more concerted effort on the part of the business owner, but there are things you can do. Like, it used to always crack me up when I was younger, how many cars you used to see with the Wall Drug bumper sticker from South Dakota, from the Badlands in South Dakota, right? Because everybody who went there got a sticker and slapped it on their car. That was brilliant marketing, and I think they even charged for the stickers. But it was brilliant marketing, and people who were only in South Dakota once in their entire lives had that Wall Drug sticker on their car. So,
yep. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a relatively inexpensive marketing item. Something else I saw was to write a blog. Now, it could be a blog is essentially a sort of news section of your website. And it's basically, it's a page you go to, and the newest things are on top. And, it can be a place to put press releases, but it can also be a place that you put information that you want people to find that maybe doesn't fit on your about or services or products page. So maybe you want a blog entry about, here's 10 recipes that use the goat cheese we sell.
Right.
Or whatever. So it's a place to kind of aggregate that kind of information. And not only that, but a lot of people, they want to support your business, but they're not going to be like, here's a link to my friend's business over and over and over again.
Right.
But what they might do is share your blog post about 10 goat cheese recipes. Like, I never thought you could put goat cheese in that, but I think I'm going to get some and try it. Right. It gives something that's a little bit more shareable.
Yep.
And so if you like to write, and it's great for search engine optimization. It's great, like I said, for adding pages to your website that don't, like I said, fit the more static items. And most website software just has a built-in ability to let you do that.
Right. And it also lets you involve, say if you're a retailer and you sell that goat cheese, then it lets you involve the goat farm. And don't forget, they offer tours every Tuesday. Looking for something to do? So it enables you as the writer to really think in a 360-degree fashion about what other you could always say, delivered to us by Richard's Trucking, right? It doesn't hurt to do that, and someone reading that might say, "Ooh, I needed a local delivery person." So, anyway,
you never know. And I know with the blog, for me in particular, like, the blog gets really linked to, and it gets traffic, all the time. So it's sitting out there as a way for people to find your business too. And it gives you something to share on social media. If you're like, I don't know what to share, like, oh, we've got a new blog. That's something to share.
Exactly. And, you don't have to write it all. You can have your staff write it. You can call the business department at your local high school and say, do you have a reporter, a business newsletter or newspaper? Send a reporter here to interview me. So you don't have to always write it yourself. You can always share what other people have written, and you can always share reviews when people write a review and say, oh, that was the best goat cheese I ever had. And you can say, oh, you know what they did? They used it with that jalapeno raspberry jam, but I have 5 other recipes here that you might find interesting. So that's not a lot of prose, right? That's not a lot of words, but it's a lot of ideas. And when we're talking about under $25, which, by the way, part 2 next week,
Yeah, we're not going to get through all 31.
We're not going to get through all this week. We've made that executive decision. Nicole just asked me that in the chat, and I was like, "Yep, yeah, yeah." But you have to remember that. Yes, it's easy to make a phone call and spend $1,000 with advertising on the radio. It's easy. That's all you have to do. The stuff that we're suggesting, it comes from here and it comes from here, and so you have to meld the two and you have to think about it. But if you really get in the habit of getting a blog post out there once a month, don't set yourself up to fail by saying twice a week or every day. Start realistically. If you like it, if you enjoy doing it, if it seems to be resonating, you can always ratchet up. So really think about, take your time. The holidays aren't here yet, but that's part of our message is, I'd hate to say it, but I was in TJ Maxx last week and trying to beat the heat at lunchtime. I was like, I need to go somewhere and walk around, but not outside. And there was Halloween stuff, quite a bit, in fact. Which I feel divided. We all do, right? We all feel divided about that. Well, heck, there's not even back to school stuff out yet, and there's already Halloween. So, and lots of people, like say me, still want to buy a new bathing suit for this year. But really think about how you can use your own creativity, your own circle, your own fellow businesses, your own community to do some stuff that at a grassroots level and you never know, something really may hit and generate some business for you.
Yeah, and all this stuff does take time, right? So there is a reason that people hire like marketing agencies and stuff like that to do this sort of thing. And the thing is, we're not saying do all of these things, but what we're hoping is in going through a sort of different kinds of things that maybe you'll hear something and say, you know what, like, I think I'm going to do that. So a blog being one of those things, right?
Right. But marketing is a smorgasbord, right? It really is. You can pick and choose. You can build your custom plate. But if you have one of everything, you're never really going to experience the full flavor, right? If you eat something you really like and there's only one, come on, one bite of something delicious. So really think about how you can, what you really like, what suits your business. And if you want to discuss that or you need somebody to knock that around with, call your local SBDC. We can help you figure out the difference between a blog and a social media post and what works for you and what's worked for some of our other clients, all that kind of stuff.
Yep, for sure. The next one is running an online or ad campaign. I will say a lot of times people hesitate to do online advertising, whether it's Facebook or Google or whatever, because they think it's going to be expensive.
Right.
And the thing is, typically with these kind of websites, you can set a lifetime budget. And in the 14 years I've been running ads for people, it has never gone over the budget I set. So first of all, you can set it. The second thing to remember is that if you have a certain group of people that you're marketing to that's relatively small, you're probably not, going to spend a lot of money to reach them. So like I took out an ad when I first opened in Potsdam within people who were within 5 miles of the address of my co-working space. And I just did a general awareness ad. What is Anchor Space? And I did, little pictures of what was inside. I did like a little carousel ad. And I reached 4,000 people or something for about $15. Now, did any of them come in? Well, I did notice some traffic to the website while I was running the ad. So maybe that was from that. I did get a couple of, people send contact form emails. Again, like I wasn't measuring that. I was just like, show people around here within a 5-mile radius of this specific address in Potsdam, New York, show them my ad. And, it was worth $15 for me to get the word out, or however it was definitely under 20. So just wanted to use that anecdotally to say that these ads are not as expensive as you think they would be just because they're on the internet.
Right. And if I'd gotten your ad, I don't have a need for co-working space, but I might know someone who does, or someone says, "Oh, co-working, they don't have any of that in Northern New York." Yeah, yeah, they do. There was that place up in Canton or Potsdam, and then people look it up. So it happens.
Yeah. And, so typically like a cheaper ad is going to be an ad that has a specific geographic locale to it. Obviously, there's not
Mhm.
100,000 people within 5 miles of the anchor space, right? Or another way is to say that an awareness ad is also going to be less expensive. So, if you say, oh, I only want to pay when someone clicks through and makes a purchase on my website, you're going to pay more for that than someone just seeing it. So
Exactly.
typically, like I said, if you narrow it down by location and just say, I just want more people to see this, it's typically going to be a very inexpensive ad for you to run. But there has to be a reason for it. Like I said, I had just opened, and people would walk by and I would see them like looking in the window.
Yeah,
And so I was just like,
right.
all right, let's play on this
Yeah.
curiosity here.
For a small investment, for a
Mhm.
very small investment.
Yeah. And you don't have to run ads all the time. Like I
Right.
said, if you've got something that you want just a lot of people to see, this can be a relatively inexpensive option, less so than you would think. Another thing that you can do, like if still this is kind of on the a bit of on the writing bend, we were with the blog, you can contribute things to either industry or general online publications. So there could be like a regional blog, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you can guest post on the regional blog about, oh, here is, my favorite place to hike or whatever, or here are my favorite places. You have a local outdoor shop. And typically when you write for these things, they give you an author little bio
Yep.
and they let you put a link or two in there. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then when they have a new article, they share it to their social media, their email list and everything. And suddenly your name, your business name is in front of a bunch of new people.
Right.
So, and you're seen as like, oh, wow. Oh, Nicole was mentioned in Co-working Quarterly. I don't know. I literally made that up. That's not an actual publication, but you know what I mean? Like that might, but
Yes.
you might think I'm more of an authority figure on co-working if I appeared.
If published
Um,
author. Right.
exactly.
And
So,
don't hesitate to reach out to those publications. Don't
mhm.
wait to flip through and say, "Oh, they're looking for submissions." If you have a great story about how your business went above and beyond for a customer or a client, or there was a dramatic rescue on the river right in front of your place, write about it. Send it to the newspaper. We write an article. Our SBDC and the Canton SBDC, we trade off every month for Northern New York business. And yeah, sometimes we sit here and go, oh, what are we going to talk about? But you know what? It's gotten us calls. It's gotten us interest. And we, so you can always propose such an idea. They don't have to do it, but you can always
Yeah,
propose.
absolutely. And it can be a regular gig like you guys do, or it can just be a
A
one-time thing too.
one-off. Yep.
That's,
Yep.
their publications or blogs are looking for both kinds of things.
Yes,
So,
they are. Yep.
yeah.
And even your comments on how the tourist season was this summer.
Mhm.
That's if find yourself in November, well, my restaurant's not as busy. Write an article about how this past summer was in the pandemic
Mhm.
recovery, you know, ongoing saga that we're all living through. So you never know what's going to strike somebody's fancy.
Mhm. Absolutely. Now, this one's a little unconventional, Liz. um, Doing some kind of flash mob or some spontaneous performance in front of your business. I do know a local business who did a dance flash mob and put it on there. Obviously, people who were there. They did it on the 4th of July, so there was people around.
Right.
But also they posted it to their Facebook and their YouTube channel. And I haven't checked the stats recently, but it's gotten watched a bunch of times, and it kind of shows that they're kind of a fun, cool business
Yes.
because they were
Yes.
willing to sort of set up something like that.
And don't forget the kids who were really young when flash mobs started, right? They're now in their 30s, believe it or not. And so it's going to feel all retro and cool. And they have kids of their own. They can say, oh, one time I was at the mall and this happened, and now we're here and this happened. You never know. Just be
Mhm.
safe.
Yes, absolutely. Um, this one is like I said, I wasn't sure whether to put it for next week or not, but you can host a scavenger hunt by yourself, or you can host it obviously with other businesses, but giving people a reason to go out, whether it's physically in your business. Maybe your business is kind of spread out and you want people to kind of find stuff. Maybe you have, you know, a couple figurines kind of hidden in the bit, you know, or maybe you give them a series of tasks to do in a given time period and they can turn it in and be entered to win a drawing or something. But sometimes giving some fun novelty.
Yep. And it's a great cross promotion. You know, you have a picture of your product in another person's store and vice versa, which makes it harder for them to find things. But just make sure it's something that's worth it. Nobody wants to do that for a 99-cent plastic nothing. So make sure that the proportion of work that you're asking them to do is worth the prize.
Right. And even if it's a matter too of like, maybe it's just in the local community, you know, there's a secret kind of stained glass window on this side street, you know, on, you know, this house of worship, or maybe there's a really distinctive rock at this park or something, you know, like getting people to kind of look around the town. If you're a business in a town is lovely, you know, and kind of gets people talking and gets people hopefully to walk into your business to see how they can participate.
Right. And you know, don't be afraid to make it fun, you know, make a little pun about the library, right? So this place, you know, where things are bound but not gagged, right? That's a library. So I know it just, sorry, that was right off the top of my head. I was trying to think, how can I go with the library? But, or the town hall, or, you know, the dog park, or whatever. You're still on bound and gagged. Or whatever it happens to be.
My internet kind of glitched out for a second.
I was like, well, it's not that funny, Nicole.
No.
So
I froze.
Think about how you can have fun with it, how you can play on the strengths of your community, or even the quirks or foibles of your community, right? It doesn't have to all be about, oh, everything's perfect. You can be, you know, if there's that rundown building, everybody knows. Okay, so use that. But plan it out, have fun, and be safe.
Yep.
And don't bind or gag anyone.
Yeah, definitely not.
Definitely not.
And this is my last one for the day, Liz, because we're going into part 2, and the next one is in the other I have two other sections of this. So we're still in the kind of visibility section of like making your business more visible with these different ways. And the last one is to host some kind of contest. So obviously, you have to follow contest rules. There's some local rules and there's some state rules.
Right.
But I think something that is true nationally, at the very least, and throughout New York State, is people have to have a way to enter the contest that does not involve a purchase.
Correct. Yep.
So, so you have to give an alternative way for them to enter the contest that does not involve a purchase. And if you run a contest on social media only, let's say you just only wanted to run it online, check the rules of the different social media sites. They are a little bit more strict than you would expect. Like Facebook has about 9 pages of contest rules. So if you're going to run it on those platforms, sometimes there are apps that can help you make sure that you're compliant or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, just follow the rules and make it super clear. But sometimes having something like that gives people a reason to engage with you and a reason to share your business as well.
Exactly.
Hey, I entered this contest. They're picking, you know, and if you're only picking one winner, like maybe they're not going to share the contest. At least I wouldn't if I was they're only picking one. So, you know, maybe you're announcing 10 winners of, you know, $100 gift certificates or something rather than giving out $1,000 prize. Then at least people feel like they might have a chance of winning.
Exactly.
I don't know. Or it gives me an incentive to share because I'm like, well, I want to win the $1,000. So I'm just going to enter and keep this to myself.
Right.
So just kind of think through how, if you were entering the contest, how that would work for you.
How would it feel for you? Have you seen other contests of this type? Have you bothered to enter them? Because if you've never entered one, then think about how you could structure yours such that it would entice people like you to enter.
Right. And I guess what I see is people either not following the rules. So like they'll say things like, you have to like this Facebook page and then submit the photo. And it's like really unclear. But the other thing I see a lot of is we want you to submit a 5-minute video for a chance at a $25 gift certificate. So what you're asking people to do has to be proportional to what you're offering them.
Cost benefit analysis. Yes.
Right. And if it was like, okay, if you produce a 5-minute video, we're going to give you this for sure, then I would do it. Potentially anyway. But if it's for the chance of potentially winning something, you know, so obviously the easiest kind of contests for people to enter are either, you know, fill out this form. So like, you know, we did one for one of our clients. It was what's the unofficial slogan of this business? So it was like a little bit of creativity.
Yeah.
It was a submission process, and then we picked the 3 winners from
Nice.
that. And they won some, I think they won like a Valentine's Day package or something. I forgot what it was, but
that sounds cool.
Yeah, but we were asking them to come up with like, you know, a 1-sentence thing, or not even a sentence
Right.
in that case. Whereas like I've seen a friend and she ran this kind of regional wedding contest where you won your entire wedding. And obviously people were willing to like, they were like, submit a video. And it's like, yeah, if I'm going to win a $30,000 wedding, yeah, I will submit a 5-minute video.
I'll submit a video. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because that's worth it. They did the cost benefit analysis. So that's, yep.
So,
okay. Well, we're going to have more next week.
Yeah. So we got through 15 of 31. So
that's pretty good.
We have
almost
16 more.
Okay. We'll see what we can do next week. And if, you know, a lot of the stuff that we have talked about today, we have hit on in other broadcasts. So if you're interested in really talking deeply about contests, we have more content about that. We have more content about blogs and about Google My Business. So look on our Watertown Oswego SBDC YouTube page. Just Google it and it'll come right up. And Nicole has gotten us all curated, and we have playlists, and we have all sorts of other cool stuff. So if any of this piqued your interest, go ahead and look at some of that other content that will. There's much deeper dives, especially on the more technical stuff like Yelp reviews, Google My Business, and call your SBDC. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Liz. It's always fun. And we'll see you next week for more tips for marketing under $25. Take care, everyone.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Stay cool.